Welcome to the Listen to Your Footsteps podcast. I'm your host, Kojo Bafun, and this podcast is an extension of my book, also called Listen to Your Footsteps, which is a collection of essays, reflections, and poetry on things like fatherhood, identity and belonging, growing up, creativity, and the lessons learned. The purpose of this podcast is to gain insight and learn from the journeys that others have taken. I explore the worlds of art, culture, design, business, creativity, and life from the perspective of Africans who are contributing to the redefinition of the continent and who we are. My guest today is an author and holistic transformational therapist, an artist and a poet, a father and a partner, and at some stage of his life, the rapper known as Flex Boogie. Hakeem Anderson-Lesolang. How are you, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good.
Doing well.
The rapper thing.
Yeah.
Flex Boogie. How did the name come about?
My dad, I had a peculiar thing of only choosing funk beats to rap to. And so he said, I have a lot of boogie.
Okay.
Right? And then when I got involved in like doing radio freestyles, I was very flexible with the kind of choices of beats I used to rap to. I know at the time I was obsessed with grime, UK grime. So I used to go there with like UK grime beats. I used to go there with like rockers beats. I used to go there with like beats from like Crisscross and all of that. And so like I had a variety of beats that I had because of my uncle, rest his soul. And yeah, just I was flexible. So Flex Boogie, and it made sense. Also, no one was called Flex Boogie at the time.
So I'm fascinated by names, right?
Yeah.
Obviously that shows in the Flex Boogie thing standing out.
Yeah.
But from a conventional sense, your name has contradictions in it.
Yeah.
Because there's Hakeem.
Mm-hmm.
I saw there's also Abdul somewhere.
Abdul Hakeem, yeah.
And then there's Anderson.
Yes. Then
Lesolang.
Yeah. I'm a mix.
Give me the origin story.
Okay. So granddad chooses to name me Abdul Hakeem, just different from everybody's names in the family. And they ask him why Arabic names. And it's like, when he wants God, his name will guide him there. So Abdul means servant of, and Hakeem means, it's a God characteristic in Arabic and Islamic traditions, is wisdom, a wise God, right? Servant of a wise God. So I don't know what he saw, but in my teenage years, I was raised in the church, in the Apostolic Church faith. We had a church literally at home, Gokrashi, so in the garage. And so I read a lot, and I read the Bible a lot because I'm from the church. And so like I'm my father's son, my grandfather's son, so I'm going to be a preacher. I'm going to be a priest. No, that didn't turn out the way that everyone had thought or hoped or planned, because I read a lot. And so because I read a lot, I like context. So when people get on the podium or platform or pulpit and say that someone is saying this and that's not what they said according to what I read, I used to have a knack of challenging that. And so I used to challenge it a lot. And so Abdul Hakeem, pursuing, wanting to know Jesus a lot more than what's on the pulpit and what's available to me and my circle's knowledge, led me into more books, into more religious studies, and I found Islam and became a Muslim. So seeking God through the life of Jesus Christ, and found out in Islam how he's loved, how loved he is, how protected he is. His mother, the way God talks about his mother, literally his mother is the only woman who has a chapter in the Quran, like literally named after her. And so fell in love with that, and just the way the religion dignifies women and the station that women have. We literally bodyguards to our wives and our children. And so I fell in love with that. I fell in love with what it represented and the values and the morals, and followed that. That's Abdul Hakeem. Anderson-Lesolang. I'm raised by very strong men, very dignified men. There's a time in my teenage years, I think around the time I was pursuing knowledge in a lot of things, in religion, in just self-definition, self-mastery. My father said, there's a lot of things that I don't know of, but I know a lot of men who know a lot of things. And so I'm going to send you to these men and they're going to father you, right? The family that took me in at the time was the Anderson family, Henry Anderson, and he loved me, and I honored him with just the double barrel surname when he passed away, and just kept it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
Madidi in the northwest of South Africa, in Madibeng. Small village, remote village. Not a lot of people know about it. But I was a goat herder when I was growing up. So that allowed me time to read. So I was a goat herder. It allowed me time to journal, allowed me time to a lot of time to reflect and think about who I am. So every day after school, I just go herd my goats.
So if I bumped into you sitting, watching over your goats, engaging in knowledge or a book or reflection, and I asked you what you want to be when you grow up, what would your answer been?
Oh God, so many things. I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be, because I was fascinated with the stars. I just wanted to be in empty space, because I was constantly in space anyway. I was in my thoughts a lot. I was quiet a lot. I was just reflecting a lot. So I wanted to be in like more space. There's a funny line I heard. A rapper said, if she asked for space, I'll give her the galaxy. You know, first time I heard it, I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I thought about it. I was like, no, why are you avoiding your woman? Why are you going away? So I thought I was going to be an astronaut. I wanted to be, at the time I wanted to be a politician because I wanted to change the world. I wanted to change communities. And then I think I fell in love with the mind and how the mind works, because I was fascinated with how people come up with words, like sentence construction for me, like word construction was fascinating to me when I was a kid. Like how did this person come up with this sentence and it means this much to me? And I know it means something completely different to them, but to me, it's like my whole entire world has been shaped in one line. And then rap, obviously. And that, like, just writing a 16-bar verse, poetry as well, coming up with like haikus. I've always been fascinated with haikus. Just like, how do you say so much with so little? Right?
I mean, like haiku is so technical.
Yeah. And I've because of that, I think I wanted to be a lot of things, but it came down to 3 things. I either wanted to be a rapper with a big volume of work, and then when that kind of faded out, I wanted to be an author who helped people master their relationships. And then that kind of led me. I feel like everything that I've done has led me to where I am right now, which is a transformational therapist.
So at what stage? So, I mean, our lives don't happen linear, like, right? With hindsight, we can connect the dots.
Yeah.
But it tends to be, and I also believe that everything that we do leads us to where we are. Because in each moment we're where we're supposed to be, good or bad, right? Positive or negative, depending on perception. So from that goat herder, thinking big. So thinking astronaut, thinking politician, through, say, your teenage years. And because as teenagers, we start to form our identity. We start to figure out certain paths. We still haven't got it figured out, but at least we start down certain paths. What was that evolution? So let's say from beginning of high school to end of high school.
Yeah.
And where were you when you started, and where were you thinking about kind of what you want to do with your life when you ended?
I think in high school, I was entertaining entertainment. And I didn't know I know exactly when it changed. I didn't know in the beginning of high school, I didn't know exactly what it would be in entertainment, because I was fascinated with presenting, acting, music. Music has always been there in the family. Then at church, so I switched from apostolic to Methodist. So at the Methodist church, I was serving a lot. I was serving community a lot. And because I was serving community a lot, I was always in the forefront, the presenting, emceeing events and all of that from the church, and doing a lot of charity drives. Then Silomake Kanube was invited to the church, and I was presenting. I was introducing him. And prior to that, we had a conversation, and I said, I want to be an actor. And he said, don't be an actor. Do everything but be an actor. And I said, but like, this is what I love. And it's like, it's what you love right now. But when you get to the other side of it, it's a completely different thing.
Mm.
And he advised me to, if I wanted to do expression, then focus on writing, because he really liked what I was writing, like the way I introduced him, and because I gave it to him first, and are you okay with it? And he said, don't do TV. If you're going to do TV, present, but don't be there too long. But pursue your writing, because you're really good at it. I was like, okay, cool. And at the time, I mean, I still know I can do it with the dreads, right? Like, it's Archie Moroka talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm impressionable. I'm in high school. I took it on. So it didn't happen immediately, but it did eventually happen that I started presenting. I did become an actor for a short while. Did a bit of a stint on a movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
What movie?
Ekasi.
So we can all go look for it.
Ekasi Stories. I forgot the name of the movie even, but it's one of those ETV movies. Acted a role there. Did a lot of ads. But in high school, I think I entertained entertainment a lot. And so I became a rapper. Then I remember I was with Helen and Bobosi. And Bobosi kind of gave up on it when he saw how serious Helen and I were. It's like, I thought it was just for school stuff. You guys are serious. I'm not gonna. And we used to write music, his verses for him, and he used to be like the hook guy. And then Helen was very serious. He was like, I think, grit. He had that grit, and he was doing mixtapes and recording, and we were listening to YFM together. I used to go home very late on Bad Boy T. Lee and Sansa. I used to listen to those in high school. And I used to go home late, and my dad was like, what is this? And I was like, I want to be a rapper, dude. Like, allow me. You always allow me to do stuff. Like, allow me to do this. And he was like, yeah, I'd rather you go to school. And I was like, I'll do school, but just know that I'm going to go to school and do this music thing because I like it. And he allowed me. God bless him. My mom was just like, express, because, yeah, there was also a lot of suicide ideation there. So expressing she saw that I loved it, and she allowed me to do that. Helen passes away, rest his soul. And it was devastating. But I had a conversation with Wubosi, and he told me, you guys really love this thing, and it would suck if you actually gave up on this, because you really love it and you're really good at it, you know? Then high school, I think matric, every Saturday, I was always at TNG at Soshanguve, 20. It was TNG, yes, TNG, at the radio station. And I met a lot of guys from Mawubani who rapped, and then we formed a group there, because I didn't have a group anymore. And also was like a group guy. I was the Beyonce of the group, but I was a group guy. And entertainment just took the lead. Studied graphic designing, website development. What else was there? And marketing.
Why did you study that?
Creative. I drew a lot. That's another thing that I used to do when I was goat herding. I was drawing a lot. And it was just another way of like not focusing on the thing. It was an escape route that I had. It was an outlet for me not to engage with what was happening in the family, because there was a lot of fights, a lot of alcoholism, a lot that my mom and dad were going through in their own marriage. And I used to get caught up in that a lot emotionally, and it used to make me, I didn't have the tools to deal with those emotions. So counseling, my counselor was like, no, keep expressing, keep writing. So writing has always been there. Keep rapping, because you really do express a lot. Don't understand half of the stuff you're saying, but I like it, you know?
You know, there's an irony there, right? Silo telling you, don't go into acting.
Yeah.
Go into writing.
Yeah.
And you do the writing, but then you also do the rapping.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those spaces
right.
have one thing in common.
Yeah.
It's very hard to build a life out of any of them in this country.
It is.
So like going from acting to writing for me is it maybe because I write and I've been in that world for a very long time.
Yeah.
It still feels like a step down. Like one has better chance of making the semblance of a living as an actor, as compared to as a writer in this country.
Yeah. But that's where the music came in to kind of mitigate that. Because I started getting paid for music as early as those radio days. You know, I started like the DJ Prince used to pay us a lot because we used to get like his show a lot of listening. Quite, you know, what did they say? I went wood in the hood. We went like wood, you know. So we used to get numbers, and we used to come with a lot of people as well. So that gave his radio show traction, and that's when I started doing a lot of ciphers, and then I was interested in doing events as well. And then matriculated, started doing graphic designing, but on Fridays and Saturdays, I was always at the State Theatre at ciphers, and I was battling a lot. That's when like battle culture really took a hold of SA.
Mm-hmm.
I was battling a lot, and because of this proficiency that I developed over time, I was winning majority of those battles. I was just the name. If I wasn't rapping, I was beatboxing, so I was always involved. And the State Theatre guys used to come outside to just enjoy the battles and everything. And they said, you guys should bring the stuff inside. And I was like, are we getting paid though? Are we getting money though? And they're like, yeah, but like there's paperwork. And I was like, I like paperwork. Let me see the paperwork. And I went through it, didn't understand half of the stuff that was there, but I saw the kind of money that we'd be making. And we just started developing a way to get the most promising artists from the ciphers from the streets onto shows. And then there was a bridge that we just couldn't convince the guys. Then we started recording music and, you know, found a couple of good guys from Pretoria, Teddy, and started recording at his house. He was starting out as well, but his music sounded really good. It sounded like it was from the States. And I was like, oh, this is different. This is exactly what I want to do. And I learned how to record music from him. I learned how to put like song structure together. I was the era of EJs. He was producing with EJs just before Fruity Loops. And yeah, just watching him write and watching that, just the number of artists that were coming out of Pretoria, just from those connections, from the cypher to State Theatre to the studio, back to the State Theatre. Now we're doing shows. Now I'm using my marketing, I'm advertising. Now I'm like promoting events, and I'm getting a lot of radio slots, getting artists to be on radio slots as well. Never really considered the managing thing. I was just like, I want to put people on, so we grow a scene, right? Because Joburg had Lead Lab. We didn't have it.
Le Club is a different generation.
Yeah.
Like it feels like the next generation after Le Club was the Pretoria.
Yeah.
Basically your time.
Yeah.
And it felt like it has shifted totally.
Yeah.
Because also, I mean, I'm a bit older, but from a hip-hop perspective, what it looked like in Joburg was, it felt to a certain extent that it had drifted slightly from those kind of origins of very kind of, say, in inverted commas, underground, gritty, focused on, you know, lyricism to a broader, more party type, type hip hop.
So around that party time in Joburg, we were still establishing, so we were obsessed with lyrics. We wanted to best each other with the best, but your lyrics are nothing if you cannot move a crowd. And that's what, like, because we had the proximity of the State Theatre and we had access to that, we wrote for the stage. We wrote specifically to perform. That's when Pretoria Arts came in, the Arts Campus came in. They started putting on a lot of shows, and so we were musical theatre students. You see where TV is going to come in. So I used to like bunk classes to go to their classes and study stage and breath work and improv, and I learned a lot of life management tools there. So majority of the stuff that I couldn't handle in the house, I just started handling a lot better, because then I understood, like, if I involve myself and my emotions in other people's things, then my judgment of them, my judgment of my father is going to be slanted, my judgment of my mother is going to be slanted, and I'm going to listen to people who have a certain perspective about my mother and my father instead of my own perspective of them. And when I look at my relationship with my father, it's always been the best relationship. My relationship with my mother has always been the best, but because I emoted based on their own struggle with themselves, I slanted it and I misjudged their character and their personhood or I wasn't helping basically in the way that I was reacting to what they were going through or how they were treating each other. I wasn't helping. I was just adding
siblings?
on. Yeah. I have 2 older sisters and a younger sister.
So living in that kind of environment and making sense of all of that, what was it like with your siblings? So it's you trying to find yourself between these 2 individuals, but it's a broader family.
Yeah. I think for them, it was... I can't answer for them, actually. I can't answer for them. I can only tell you.
So for me, it's not even answering for them.
Yeah.
It's because you're not contending with just... If you're an only child, it would have been trying to make sense of your mother and your father.
Yeah.
But now there's that, and then also trying to make sense of yourself within the broader family, which includes your siblings.
My siblings. I think for them...
And how everybody's kind of reacting to each other. Because that has an impact on children.
Yeah.
Right? Difficulties between parents will have an impact on children and how each child interprets it.
Yeah.
Or deals with it.
Yeah.
Then has an impact on the relationship between siblings.
I'm going to try to answer this not as a therapist, knowing what I know now.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking to you as a therapist. So if I hear the therapist come out there, I will stop you.
So I think it was to protect them, to protect my sisters. You know, we played a lot. And we listened to music a lot. I mean, we were each other's safe spaces, really, like me and my siblings. And I think one of the biggest things my mother taught us was be a unit. Don't ever allow what happens to the parents split you. Be a unit. You're not going to let the world dictate the fact that you're blood. So be a unit. You are of the same family. You are one body. Function as that one body. We're in pain, but deal with it and help each other deal with it. I think that's what we sought to do.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the biggest things my mother always said was, always asked me, especially when I was living in the city, was, have you spoken to your sisters? 'Cause I spoke to my mom every day. Have you spoken to your sisters? Have you called your sisters? Do you know your sister's going through this? And she always entrenched, like, be in contact with your siblings because we're going to die. And it's only like, you're the man of the family. The surname is yours, literally. So take care of what you need to take care of. And my father always said, if you don't love your responsibilities, they're going to feel like a burden. So
I hear that. I mean, it makes sense. Being somebody who for a period lived and struggled with a particular responsibility or particular cross.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever loved.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever loved my burden.
Yeah.
Which was, I'm the oldest son. I have an older sister. And my older sister's 11 years older than I am. But from a young age, my father used to say, if anything happens to me, you're responsible for this family.
Yeah.
And so most of my decisions from the age of 15, 16 were always about the family.
Yeah.
Like I took second place to that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you ever get to the point where you love it. I accept it. I went through okay, this is what I have to do, to being bitter about it.
Yeah.
To just being accepting of it. And I take the same approach with my family now. Like, I have a responsibility to my wife and my children. And I mean, I often, like I've said this before, and people, and maybe your therapist hat will kick in, but also your father hat perhaps will kick in. So I've said I don't start off going, am I happy? When thinking about my responsibility. They are, the phrase mutually exclusive. Like I don't have to be happy to fulfill my responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fulfilling my responsibility is, let's call it default position. And if I happen to be happy with life in general, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if I'm not,
It's still cool.
It's still cool because the default setting is the responsibility.
Yeah. I think the age of chasing happiness before you do something or using happiness as a metric of whether you want to do something is flawed. And that's why a lot of people get depressed, because you're going to do something that's difficult to do and it won't feel fun to do because you're looking for happiness, right? So you want to have fun to doing the things you're responsible for. Majority of the things that you'll be responsible for in life, you haven't been there to do that. When you're doing them, you're possibly carrying 3-4 people. You're probably stressed out. So if you look for happiness first, that's a formula for failure. That's a formula for you not even putting heart in it or seeing it through. So I think it's a very flawed perspective to have concerning getting things done, because responsibility, you have to get things done and you have to be efficient in getting these things done, right? And the doing bit has to yield results. It's got an echo, right? So if you half-ass it, you're going to get half-ass results. You're not going to be really happy. You're not going to be happy with the results that you're getting. So do the work you're supposed to do. Do it with heart. Do it because you have to do it. And see it through. Get it done.
So did you finish what you're studying? What was it? Was it a degree?
Graphic design.
Diploma? Yeah.
No. It was just a diploma.
Okay.
I wanted a foot in the industry. I wanted to understand how things work. I wanted to understand processes of how to get things done. So I never really got a job as a graphic designer or website developer. I only did it for people, and I got paid for it. Did album covers. I think I set myself up nicely. I did album covers. Album covers led me to doing photography. Then there was the era of websites, or like figuring out SoundCloud for people, figuring out how to put music on Apple, YouTube for the videos. And I just did that. I just found myself in the company of people who did that creatively and got paid. So I never really pursued, being in the office and doing ads and all of that. The stuff I studied for. But marketing stuff, promoting stuff, advertising stuff, design, and getting projects out. I always yes, it's on a screen, but it's not done until I touch it. So CDs and album covers and credits and all of this. I was names and faces. Oh, you did this. Okay, cool. And then I remember the way I found Nyams was because he was on a credit. I was like, who's this guy? All his beats are banging. Who's this guy? And I found him, and I was like, I was looking at Ramshock's. Was it Ramshock? I think the group Ramshock was in. And that's how I found his credits. And he's like, where did you get that? I was like, I bought it from someone at the State Theatre. They came with just a lot of mixtapes, and I had cash. So I bought the mixtapes, and I just started looking at credits and listening to the beats and seeing who wrote the songs. Because the best songs for me, the best lyrics, are people that I collaborated with. And one of the best collaborations to date for me is my song with Zubs called Reflection. And how I got to Zubs was because Zubs he was appearing on a lot of credits as a songwriter, but he wasn't featured. So I wanted to have him as a feature, but also have him contribute as a writer onto my project. So that's how I got him there. So
Zubs is in a way a friend of the podcast.
Is it?
Because I've had him on the podcast.
Love.
And we record where we record, which is the pod house. I found the pod house because he invited me on to his podcast that he does with Chilu. And so Nyams I've met once.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually on a song produced by Nyams with Zubs that'll never see the light of day. Ever.
I have a library of those.
So
that'll never see the light of day.
I mean, I've been on maybe 3 songs in my whole life. So the fact that 2 of them will never see the light of day is 75% of the songs I've ever been featured on, which is significant. It feels like you've always kind of started things and like pursued certain things. So when you're talking about that kind of, state theater and now basically creating productions and putting people on, learning how to work in the studio. Like over the years, I was going to ask you whatever happened to Batu Bachu and your Black Love picnics. And like it feels like in a way you've had there've been multiple projects. Like I saw at some stage you started a daycare center or a creche or something.
Yeah.
At what stage of your life were some of these things and what kind of prompted them? And what prompted let's say, not necessarily use the word demise, but moving on from them?
All right. So I'll start with the daycare center. The daycare center wasn't my project per se. I was starting it for somebody.
Okay.
So I handed it over, right? When the margins look good. So I handed it over. Good split. Batu was a sore one because it was a contended name in terms of branding. And I really wanted to take it far, but I had to like relinquish it. But I'm sorry to everyone who was in love with like the strolling therapies and everything. So I had to relinquish the name. But that taught me that I needed to get my IP sorted out, like get like my paperwork sorted out and do due diligence in naming things and making sure those names are my names. I think around the time I was writing in Rosewater and I was in love with names. Basically, I was in love with like Setswana names particularly. And so every poem in Rosewater has a Setswana title to it. That was so. Fought for it until I saw that we're not going to get anywhere. So I let it go.
So you weren't registering?
I was. It was I want to see with Fola. I know we're going to come to Fola. With Fola, I want it to be big. So the amount of revenue I wanted to spend on it compared to like this legal battle with this person who wants to spend his own chunk on his own thing. It's like, I have it. I do good work. And I'll find another name. There's a lot of them. It's a lot of names. I just let it go. Black Love picnics. I started traveling a lot. And I just felt like I wasn't going to commit the energy that I want to commit to Black Love picnics, but I wanted to. And that's a conversation I was having with my wife. That's why I kind of sighed when you said Black Love picnics, because my wife loves the picnics. She loves them. I started traveling a lot, and I knew I wasn't going to give it the energy that I wanted to give it because I want to do 2 picnics in a year and not just one. So that's coming back definitely. A lot of people love it. A lot of people are, they love how we packaged that and how we presented it. And it's group healing. So it's, you pay for something and you leave different, transformed. So yeah, that's coming back to everybody that's listening to the podcast. Black Love Picnics is coming back.
Yeah, the poet kicked in there. You hear the change in voice, the change in tone.
And so I didn't let go of the daycare center. I still want to have my own schools. So part of the conversation we had prior was the fact that I'm buying land and I want to build schools. I want to build daycare centers. I want to build schools. I want to build clinics and hospitals and all of that. And me and my brother, Ofense, we want family-oriented things because there isn't a lot of those, especially where we come from. It's not a lot of those. So we're always like places where trauma gets reborn and exchanged, and pain gets. Places of fun have turned now to places where pain is born, and keep throwing our teenagers into those spaces and places. And so we concern ourselves with building family-oriented businesses and making sure that they succeed and naming them properly.
You are listening to the Listen to Your Footsteps podcast, a podcast in which I chat to Africans from a cross-section of society and sectors, including art, culture, design, business, and creativity, to name a few. I delve into their journeys, the decisions they've taken to get to where they are, how they do what they do, and everything in between. Essentially, we go wherever the conversation takes us.
Well, maybe naming and registering them properly.
Naming and registering them properly, but yeah, also like trademarking it.
Because when I registered my company, I had to give 3 names as options.
Yeah.
And they checked to make sure that I was allowed to use the name that they gave.
Listen, I gave you 1. I'll do 4 now. I'll do 4 with the 3 more options.
So how do you deal with, let's say, the idea of failure? And I say failure kind of with inverted commas.
Yeah.
Because it's also about interpretation.
Yeah.
But kind of having gone through these processes where, you're kind of you're fixated or you're fixed on something. You have a vision for something.
Yeah.
And you have a plan, an idea of where you want to take it. And it either comes to an end or it just doesn't go down the path that you anticipated.
Yeah.
How do you then deal with that?
Not being married to the outcome.
Okay.
Have a vision for yourself, but I'm not married to the outcome. I'm married to the process. That's what I want to get right? Also, I'm okay with failing. I've never been this Hakeem today. I've never been here before. It's my first time doing it. It's probably my last time doing it, but I'm good. Wherever God places me, I'm going to be there 100%. Whatever it is that responsibility I have, task or duty, I'm going to be there 100% doing it. Process. I'm not entirely, whatever this yields, it's going to yield. And I'm going to, if there's stuff to mitigate there, I'm going to mitigate it. I'm going to respond to it readily. I'm okay with failing because I've never been where I am, doing what I'm doing, living how I'm living now, understanding what I'm understanding right now. And I might find a better truth. There might be a better way of being tomorrow. I don't know it yet, but right now I'm here. So I'm okay with failing because I was there 100%. I saw what I did. It wasn't freestyling. It wasn't freestyling as thrilling as it is to freestyle stuff, but it's whatever serendipitous actions were taken or energies that aligned with me being in the places that I found myself in. I'm grateful for them. And so I don't look at things stopping or me stopping to do things or continue a certain line, like the rap thing. A lot of people are agonizing over me not rapping anymore. I don't. I'm like, I enjoyed every single one of those days, every single one of those moments, every single one of the heartbreaks were a guiding step towards where I am and who I am right now. I don't have a bone of contention with things that have stopped or the relationships that haven't continued. Sometimes we outgrow people. We're okay. We outgrow things. We're okay. And sometimes we just find a better truth, find a better way of being, So I'm okay with failure. I'm right with it.
I was pondering something the other day. Maybe it'll make sense to you because I journal every day.
Yeah.
So I was journaling and I'm like, kind of like journaling is a form of meditation. It's a form of mindfulness, right? But when I'm journaling, what I'm writing is drawing from the past, the future, thoughts about, my thoughts are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yet I'm writing those in the present. And I had this thought, I'm like, okay, well, is it really being mindful? Because yes, the act of writing is in the present.
Yeah.
But literally my mind is everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that when you were talking about ciphers, because to a certain extent, one could say freestyling is being present in the moment, right? But at the same time, I did it with poetry. Like when I used to do shows in Orange Grove, and our slam was you get given a word and then you have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So essentially it's freestyling, but from a poetic, well, not rapping it.
Yeah.
And just thinking about that, it's like, I had this thought that actually, like freestyling, and when you're freestyling, you are in the present because you're in that moment. But when you're freestyling, yes, what's coming out of your mouth is in the present, but your mind often is a whole bunch of other places.
Yeah. I think it's your mind is full. You're emptying. Your mind is full and you're emptying it as you're journaling or writing or freestyling or speaking. But you're minding your thoughts and you're compiling them into the now. You're minding your thoughts, meaning you're not leaving thoughts on autopilot and allowing them to join whatever chaos was there yesterday or an hour before. So you're minding your thoughts and you're saying, from this experience, from this time, from this moment, from this encounter, I'm bringing all of that here to make sense of it, right? Or to just get it out of me, to create a void for new thoughts or better thoughts, or like you're creating a channel for better thoughts. Better thoughts lead to better emotions, better decisions, actions. And so you're creating a different loop from what you would have created had you not been mindful in that moment, right? So that's how I look at journaling.
So how did the therapy so if you go online, there's
my favorite story.
There's holistic transformational, there's wellness, there's trauma, there's like a whole bunch of things.
There's a lot.
And then they're certified somewhere in there. And I was sitting there going, okay, he's not a psychologist, I know that much.
Definitely not.
But okay, how did it come about and how do you see yourself? Or how do you present yourself as a therapist?
I'm the help.
And then we can get into foray.
I'm the help and the facilitator. I just help you to create the room, the environment, the space that you need to deal with what blocks you're facing or what challenges you have. And then I facilitate the actual work of removing those blocks or reviewing your memories or reviewing your experiences and shifting your attention from negative to positive.
How do you get there?
Talk.
That and being the relationship expert from a male perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like I'm trying to understand
how
when I ask
thing.
you, I was told that I'm overly fascinated or overly fixated on things like craft.
Yeah.
But it's also steps.
Yeah.
We're saying,
you're sweating the technique.
Like we were saying earlier, like life is not linear. But often you can go, okay, I could tell you something that happened or something that I did when I was a particular age that years later, when I look back when I look back at a particular experience I had, say, last week, and it's like, oh crap, actually the seeds for that were planted there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get to. Because when I met you, you had the book.
Yeah.
And you came to do poetry when I had a radio show on Kaya.
Yes.
And you came to do poetry, and it was all very warm and soft and fuzzy.
It was lovely.
And to a certain extent, it was, and those who recommended and suggested you for that show, it felt like not a derivative. It felt like my poetry from early 2000s.
Yeah.
Your poetry at that time was like a descendant of it.
Yeah.
If I could be so bold as to say that.
Yeah.
Because when I was doing poetry, men didn't do poetry about love. And so I always had like LL Cool J's I Need Love. I always had like one poem out of 10 that was kind of about relationship and love.
Yeah.
And so I published a book called And They Say Black Men Don't Write Love Poetry, where I literally just put all my love poems in one small chapbook.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get a sense of, because it feels like all of that has come together to put you where you are today.
Absolutely.
But trying to understand what you consider the moments that led you to a point where, because when I bumped into you the other day, I did not know about the therapy
stuff. Yeah.
And you were like, I I moved overseas because I went to work as a therapist, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what the? Like I could never reconcile those two.
Yeah.
Because it felt like there was a aspect of you that I've missed out on, that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, last time you saw me, I was here.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing me, I'm here. But also to a certain extent for me realizing that was something that was there when I first met you. I just wasn't aware of it.
Yes. So I deleted my Facebook profile.
Okay.
I know you didn't find anything on Facebook. You just found the new profile.
Well, I found your business profiles.
Yeah. You didn't find the Hakeem Anderson-Lesolang profile. I wrote a lot. I wrote every day, like at least 5 pieces on Facebook, 2 pieces on LinkedIn, 3 pieces on Instagram. I wrote a lot. And 99.99% of that was about love and relationships. I started at a time when I was failing a lot in relationships. And I was failing a lot in relationships because the most important man in my life sucks at relationships. It's my dad. That guy sucks. Papa, listen, if you're listening to this, I love you, but you suck at relationships, my guy. But I love you. And I'm grateful for you. And may God grant you all the blessings that you deserve for being the best at what you're best at. It's in relationships. So the only thing I had to reference was Henry and my dad in terms of how to be a great husband or how to be a great lover, right? Henry took the chunk of that, inspired a chunk of that. And so I wrote about, I think I was writing to my sisters at first. I was telling my sisters what to avoid, what to go for, what to do, how to interview a guy, and all of that, right? Because we believe in quoting, not mujolo, but then I jumped into mujolo. Saw my life. Saw my life in my bums. And I sucked a lot. I struggled with relationships. I could sell myself, could sell the prize, could sell, the dream and the vision. But the meat of it, I always struggled with the meat of it. And that got me a lot of ire from women. And so I started looking at, okay, what am I getting wrong? What is it that I'm getting wrong? And it was not loving my responsibilities and not taking responsibility where I was supposed to take responsibility, or being overtly responsible where I wasn't supposed to be overtly responsible. I was an enabler. I was a people's pleaser. Ghosted a lot. Wasn't really a person who believed in sex before marriage. And so that's crazy. Something I didn't believe in marriage a lot, but I didn't believe in sex before marriage a lot, but I did a radio show. I talked about sex every single day for 3 years. For 3 years. Extramarital affairs, majority of it. So started doing relationship coaching because a lot of guys were like, yo, we where you are, but we're stuck where this piece is. But you've got solutions for this. Can we get the solutions? And I was like, always like, how much you gonna pay me? So I started getting paid from coaching, right? And then I wanted to get certifications for coaching and stuff. And so I studied NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy. So I started doing strolling therapies with a lot of guys, with a lot of men. And because these men then started being really good at their relationships and started getting married, a lot of women were like, also us, Pela, we want to get serious about these things. We're struggling a lot. And so I started doing strolling therapies, strolling sessions with women and men. And then Black Life Picnics came into the picture. A lot of things are going to connect now. Black Life Picnics. And then I got tired of doing the strolling sessions because I had to travel and I didn't have a car at the time. So I had to just be in Ubers or just be in taxis before Ubers even came in. And Ubers and Bolt. And I was just like, yo, I'm just wasting so much money. Mm-hmm. I want to buy goats every week, man. I want to buy goats. Every time someone pays, I want to buy a goat. I can't buy go from like catching these Ubers to these sessions. I'm traveling long distances. And the books came in. And I wrote 200 Truths About Love. And just a critical observation of how we fail ourselves in relationships and how we fail relationships and how we hurt people and how we keep trauma bonding majority of the time. And then because that was a critical look at relationships, and I'm still doing the strolling sessions, I'm still struggling with relationships. I'm like, but like, how do you know what not to do, but you're still struggling with relationships? And then I was like, but you're positing as a monogamous man when you're not. You're not honoring the woman by marrying her. So you're failing principles that you learned from early. You're failing your conditioning, basically. And I didn't want to fail my fathers because they both said, get married. You'll avoid a lot of drama. You'll avoid a lot of problems. And so I, like, before starting to write in Rosewater, I decided, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to focus on work and I'm going to make a lot of money. And I'm going to send my mom and dad a lot of money every week from these sessions. And I'm going to help as many people as I possibly can get their relationships with themselves right before they get into their next relationship. In the 200 Truths About Love interview, I spoke about the relationship. And that's what I focused on in these sessions, how to master yourself in these relationships before, because you can't be to anyone what you're not to yourself. You can't give to anyone what you can't give to yourself, what you haven't given to yourself. If you don't have a memory index of how to be the best version of yourself, how to respond to yourself, how to treat yourself, how to care for yourself, you can't be that to other people. What did you learn it from? What did you learn it from? You don't really come from the most successful, intimate marriage relationships or families even. We don't come from that. And so it's important for you to do that yourself. And I started doing that with myself, and I started seeing a lot of traction and a lot of growth. And then I started, taking the girls I actually wanted to be with out on dates, not necessarily to date them or to be in a relationship with them, but to figure out how they thought and what they wanted and how their idea of a husband was, right? Had to say a lot of no's to a lot of people who assumed that dating would mean that it's a relationship. No, it's a date. I'm gathering information. It's R&D.
That must have gone down really nicely.
No.
Hey, I'm taking you out for data analysis.
It didn't go down well. And I'm on radio at the time, so I'm garnering a lot of attention from women. I'm okay with failure. Failed a lot of what I said I wanted to do, what I said I wanted to be. But those relationships in that crucial time taught me that if I don't respect my decisions, majority of the good that I'm doing for myself, for the family that I want to have, for the life I want to live, is going to be wiped out. As age and era, like the height of cancel culture at the time. I'm going to lose it. It's literally going to take one person going on Twitter and saying, I am this, which I would have been at that time. And it would have wiped off all the good that I'd done in the years prior, right? And so going into writing in Rosewater, I'm culling myself, and I'm refining how I'm approaching these sessions and what I'm guiding people to and what I'm helping people with. And go to London. I'm stressed out, losing, my job at Touch HD. Go to London, and a boy of mine knows I'm there, and he's like, "What you doing this weekend?" I'm like, nothing. I'm just stressed out, bro. And he's like, I got tickets. If you got someone, come through. It's a festival, bunch of hippies, but it's a lot of stuff you like. Go to the festival. I don't even know what it is. I'm stressed out. I get there and I'm tired because I'd been working, and I'm just looking for a place to sit down. So I got all access ticket. See the tent. Oh, cool. Beanbags in there. Oh, no one's smoking, no one's drinking. Oh, this is cool. Lady on stage is talking about neurology. I'm like, oh, brains. The mind. I love this. I like how this works. I sit down, big beanbag, and I'm fascinated with this lady. Like the cadence of her voice and the delivery. And she's talking about trauma. And she's talking about life experiences and conditioning and the kind of family you're from, the communities you're raised in, the environment. And she talks about your internal environment. Like, this is what I do. this is what I talk about. I'm like, cool. Mutual ideologies, cool. Then she has us do an exercise. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm tired. This exercise is going to relax my body. I'm like, cool. Do the exercise, wake up an hour and 30 minutes later. I am crying, bro. I am like a puddle of water. But I'm so happy. I'm light. I'm crying. People are hugging there. I'm like, yo, I'm hugging everyone. I'm high-fiving people. The lady leaves the stage. I'm like, yo, I want to know who this lady is. But like, I'm so happy and I'm so light. Like all that stress is gone. The heaviness that I was feeling is gone. A job, I can lose a job. It's fine. I have a job. I love what I do. I love helping people. 3 weeks later, 3 months later, no, 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, I've called my mom every day. I've called my sisters every day. I've called the mother of my children, my ex-wife, every day to check on the girls. I've spoken to my girls every day. I'm kicking ass in these sessions. I'm making a lot of money. I'm doing really well. I'm light, you know? And my mom is like, you've been calling me every day. What's that like? What's that like? Like, you're so happy. You're so light. I can literally feel from this side how happy you are, and you're all the way there. So what's going on? Are you in love? Are you in love? No, there's no woman. I don't know, man. You're different. I love this for you. Don't do anything to damage this. Don't do anything to hurt this. I love where you are. And so I think about it. I'm like, wait, what happened? Actually. Then I remember I was at the tent and I did the exercise. And I'm like, oh, that lady and the exercise we did. I'm like, oh, this is what I want my clients to feel. This is what I want my clients to actually achieve in every session. If 3 weeks later I'm still feeling like this, it doesn't seem like I'm going to lose it. It feels like I'm building on like a great foundation emotionally and internally. And so I find her, study under her, strike a deal. I'm gonna be in London for a while. Can I study under you? She's like, yeah, cool. Do your courses have certifications? Yeah, cool. They do. Great. I studied under her for a while, and she at the end of the program, she asked me to practice with her. I do, but I was like, I want this for Africa and Africans though. Like, yeah, I can help other races with what they're going through, but I know our trauma and I know our pains and I know our struggles. And I actually want people to enjoy rapid transformational therapy. I don't want, like, when I've looked at Twitter and how people talk about therapy, is, you know, people don't go back to therapy because of what they leave with. They leave with their wounds open, right? But if a one session can make a person feel the way that I felt and have like the lightness that I was enjoying, I want you to pay me for one session and feel that even if you don't come and see me for 2 months or 2 weeks or 3 years, you have that as the root. From that day onwards, you have that clarity of mind, clarity of emotion, like full literal fulfillment in your heart about yourself, that regardless of what you did, regardless of where you've been, regardless of what's been done to you and what you've enjoyed in life, you can leave lighter from a session. That's what I wanted for African people, Batu, right? And so I come back, open up Batu, stop the strolling sessions, and I was like, I'm gonna do everything online. So from 2019, COVID happens. People are sitting with their thoughts. People are sitting with their literal lives, their literal decisions, right? Now you have to kind of account for everything you've been and everything you've been doing or not doing and avoiding. And so Batu blows up. And that's how I got to where I am. To answer your question. Very long way of answering your question. But that's how I got to.
But it gives that context. It puts into what you're doing today.
Yes.
And connects that. It serves as that bridge. Because like I was saying, so for me it was understand or meeting you in a particular context.
Yeah.
And then meeting you again in what feels like a very different context.
Yeah.
Because you've stepped away from the music. You've stepped away from the, let's say, entertainment.
Yes.
And you're now on this journey. And I couldn't see the connection between the two.
Yeah.
So talk about, as we start to kind of wind down, but talk about Fola.
Yeah.
Which is a great company name.
Yeah.
Because in Tswana Sotho, it's basically get better.
Yeah. Like now, right now. It's a command word. Like right now, get better. So Fola is a rapid transformational therapy services company. Our framework is relationships. And our framework is relationships, particularly because you're the sum total of every relationship you've ever experienced yourself in. Literally, every single one of them has contributed to your decision making today. We look at where we come from and these relationships that we've been in or that we've emanated from, they're not the best of relationships for you to use as a foundation for excellence or to find excellence in the world or to even inspire it too. And so trauma would then be what we deal with in the first 5 sessions. Generational trauma, emotional trauma, sexual trauma, financial trauma is the latter sessions, but it factors in there. Also the trauma of being the help and not knowing how to ask for help or take the help or use the help to create equity, not knowing yourself. There's a lot of people who don't do jihad in life, who are afraid of doing that internal war, of sitting with their thoughts, sitting with their emotions, right? So Fola comes in and that alleviates the weight of those thoughts so you can actually root and ground yourself in yourself and define relationships based on your relationship with yourself. The Emerald tablets talk about as within, the world within influences the world without. As within, so without, as above, so below. Right? So whatever it is you think about yourself, you're going to feel greatly about yourself. You're going to say about yourself. You're going to find people who mimic that or mimic from other people exactly what you think. And because you feel like that, because you're going to make choices, you're going to make decisions. Those decisions have an echo consequences, right? How you think about those consequences, right? So a lot of us are stuck in negative loops. And it starts with your thoughts. It starts with your mind. It starts with your heart as well. It starts with how you feel and how you think. So how do we take what you feel and what you think and shift the focus from the negative, that negative loop, to the positive? Because it's possible, right? Did it, doing it, it works. So Fola serves as that, the eye of the storm.
How has this journey influenced how you parent?
Oh, it's influenced
because
greatly.
Obviously your children were young as you're going on the journey.
Yeah.
So they unfortunately don't have the benefit of you having kind of reached this point.
Yeah.
And then starting to parent them.
Yeah.
So they've gone through the ups and downs, but obviously you have evolved as a parent.
I think Amira has kind of seen that evolution, and my relationship with her has drastically improved. Drastically improved. She's literally my best friend. My relationship with my children is very open, and I choose to believe it's safe. It's safe. They a lot more open with what's going on in their heads and their hearts and in their world. They're very trusting with the decisions they want to make. It's an open conversation, judgment-free, but we are going to interrogate what inspires that or the root of that. And so they love it. They actually love going into the detail of things. And when there are contentions or when there is conflict, I haven't seen them be afraid of actually going into it, and actually get into, okay, this is a problem, this is a challenge, this is a trial that I'm facing, but I want to get to the other side where I'm not fixated on the problem and the issue. I'm fixating on the action work of working on the solution. Right? I see that a lot in them, especially in my 12-year-old Babalo. Beautiful. I think it's beautiful. It's got its challenges. Obviously, we're parents, so we go and experience those. But it's improved greatly. My relationship with their mom has improved enormously. And I still have room to grow. Definitely there's, versions of me as a father that I want to achieve, versions of me as a husband that I want to achieve, versions of me as like even an ex-husband that I want to achieve as well. but I like it. I like my life a lot.
The business
Yes, sir.
is still very, I know that you're going through a kind of, let's say, transition or defining kind of what it's going to look like. But it still feels very centered around you and you having to show up at every step of the way.
Yeah.
From doing the actual therapy.
Yeah.
To
booking the client.
Building the business.
Yeah.
Like every aspect of it. What is the ideal state for you?
For the business?
Yeah.
Not being in the business, not being the center point of the business. Training. I definitely want to train coaches and even psychologists and psychiatrists to do what I do. That's a big focus of mine, to train, to have the physical polyclinics up, especially in Johannesburg, because that's been the hub of my operations, Johannesburg, Pretoria, and the Northwest. The Northwest primarily because I want the farms there. But I want to allow the company to flourish without me being part of the day-to-day runnings of the company. And I want to have the right partnerships that allow for me to do that. And I'm actually willing to do the grunt work of getting it to that place. So getting the right systems in place, it's going to require a lot of capital. Getting the right systems in place, getting the right people behind the wheel, and automating. So a majority of my clients come from social media. That's where a lot of people have found out about me as well. So just using that as one of the vehicles where we get a lot more client signups, get a lot more people through the door, whether it be through one-on-one face-to-face sessions or through the audio work that we are rolling out in the next quarter, or the courses, or the cohorts, or the challenges, or the ebooks even, or the books themselves, or the merch, regardless of what it is, whatever door they choose to come in with, retaining that and actually getting them into Foray University. So, because there's a lot of education in just the sessions alone, but in like the follow-up conversations with my clients as well, it's a lot of education that is super beneficial to people in terms of self-mastery, but relationship mastery as well, trauma-free relationship mastery, and equity as well. I believe in opening my phone book to my clients, my contact. I believe in that highly, highly, highly. And because by session 10, I really know who you are. I know you, so I know you won't jeopardize the work that's, come with having that kind of a phone book or that kind of a network. And it's going to be honored. And the fact that you're in the community via Foray University, you're there with us. You're there with us. You're there with people who have gone through the same journey as you to get to where you are, trauma-free, building healthy relationships, probably even getting married to one of them. Why not? Might as well start a concierge services for getting people married.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't shift into the cult of Hakeem.
Yeah, no, I don't. And that's the one thing that I want to avoid, which I've seen like a lot of the business model that I have, they devolve into that. They devolve into that. I don't want it to be like that. I want to be very, very, very far removed from the company as possible. And I want to give people equity, all the practitioners are going to have some form of equity that they have in the company, and looking at the ESOP business model as well. So employees own the company.
I'm just waiting for the retreat.
Yeah.
Once you've built the retreat out in Northwest, everything else you can keep. I'm there for the retreat.
The retreats, yeah, definitely. I want to. I got like 2 more land offers from the chiefs, one in the Northwest and one in Polokwane as well. So I was like, oh well, hold on. The initial thing. Let me build the initial thing, and let's get the systems up and running. I'm sweating the technique here. Like I'm sweating the thing, the initial thing, because the initial thing is the one that's actually going to allow us to see how far we can grow this thing, But in terms of growth projections or revenue, I'm happy. I'm happy with what we've, like the R&D that is taken for us to get here. Shout out to my clients. Shout out to the ladies. Shout out to the guys that I've used as R&D for me actually getting here or getting the company here. It's been very, 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 very educational in terms of what we can achieve. Like just their successes alone is super educational of what we can achieve in the country, just in our families, like the microcosm of our families. We can achieve a lot. So like one lady said, doing age regression therapy with Fola was like, here's this big candle, and Hakeem lighting me as a candle, and since then I've helped my family actually become their own lights that light up other lights, you know. So another thing that I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I actually teach my clients how to do what I do so they can do it themselves. It's not a fleecing thing. You can pay me the big money that you're supposed to pay me initially for you to get access to age regression therapy, but I'm going to teach you how to do it yourself. Now you people have like negative triggers. Okay, cool. Negative has a positive. There's an opposite end of it. So we can set up positive triggers so you don't, you know, respond to harsh environmental occurrences with the same way you've responded to them your whole entire life. You can actually respond to them better than you've always done. You know, so setting up those triggers and helping you like learn how to do this yourself is very important to me. I don't really care about the money. I actually want your kids to enjoy having a parent.
Although you've talked about...
I love money, bro. Yeah, who doesn't like... What did we say? We love nice things.
Yeah.
We really love nice things. We really love nice things. Also, like...
I mean, there's the expression, and I believe in this, like, there's nothing wrong with getting paid for doing good.
Yeah.
It's more one's lens because money is a vehicle.
Yeah, bro, it's just
not,
a tool.
It's not the destination.
Yeah, it's a tool, man. And how you use the tool is going to reflect, you know, what kind of character you have. You know, I want to buy more land, build more farms, let's get these retreats going. You know, I'm not going to be the one there, but, you know, my people are capable when they get there. My people are capable. But like I'm giving it a 3 to 7 year projection. I think we're going to be national, even sub-Saharan. That's what I believe.
And if you're not, that's also all good.
That's what I'm
like
okay
you
with
said,
it.
it's like,
I'm right.
It's the process, it's the journey. And
I'm right. One heart at a time, bro.
Where it ends up is where it ends up.
Yeah, one heart at a time. If you know, one mind can be okay with its life and lived experiences, and its heart can actually accept it, but know that there's more to them. How much more magical can this life become? It's one heart at a time.
My man, thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
sir.
wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing all of this stuff.
Yes, sir. The caves of Hira are coming. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Cool, man.
The Listen to Your Footsteps podcast is produced by Zebra Culture. If you have ideas of what we can do better, people you'd like us to have a conversation with, or would just like to share a thought, you can email me on info@zebraculture.com. To check out past episodes, go to kojobuffer.com/podcasts. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share with a friend. If you'd like to get a copy of the book, Listen to Your Footsteps, check out kojobuffer.com/book. There are details on the various spaces it's available at. I'd also appreciate it if you could leave a review or comment wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, there's the Zebra Culture by Kojo Buffer newsletter where on a weekly basis, I share a curated list of articles, playlists, videos, etc. that have caught my attention. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed having it.